Yo, you're watching Quiet Talks, and this is a video guide to get your ink on for Splatoon 2. I've played hundreds of hours on the original game, and I'm willing to pass my knowledge for any new inklings who didn't own a Wii U, or simply curious on what I have to say. This guide primarily revolves around Turf Wars, since it is the main game mode and all the other competitive modes have yet to be confirmed. I also won't talk about some sub-weapons and all the specials, since Splatoon 2 introduces new subs and specials that I have yet to try out myself. So let's jump right into it. First, I know motion controls is usually an unpopular way of playing games, but trust me when I say it just works in Splatoon. It won't feel right at first, but give it a few hours and it'll come naturally. Of course, it is optional, and I'm just recommending, in my opinion, the best way to play. So, to play it with motion controls, you want to set your controller or your gamepad down on your lap comfortably. Then press the reset camera button. Once all that's done, you're ready to start splatting. The primary objective to Turf Wars is covering up more of your ink than the opposing team. The turf is determined on how much ink is covered on the floor, not the walls, so try not to focus on inking walls unless it is to get you over a wall. Being covered in enemy ink will deplete your health and slow you down until you manage to get back on your own ink. The opposing team will have the same mindset as your team, so both teams will be spreading ink, and to ensure victory, you need to eliminate the team to be able to make that push, which is the secondary objective, as well as the more fun objective. The winner is decided by the team that covers more turf, not kills. But, in my experience, getting kills is almost as important as covering turf. I've seen people say, it's not about getting the kills, it's about covering turf, and it is true. Ultimately, the winner is decided by the turf covered. However, you can't just ignore the opposing team while they're either covering your ink with their own, or eliminating you or your teammates. Taking out the opposing team will help push your team into enemy territory and to ensure victory. Not to mention, splatted enemies explode in your ink, so it is really about a good balance between inking and splatting. Covering up turf is not only beneficial for victory, but is also useful for having access to swim in the ink for increased speed, recovering health, refilling ammunition, and even stealth. The more ink covered in the battlefield, the bigger the advantage over the opposing team. Let's move on to the user interface. For starters, the game doesn't give you a health bar or tell you how much ammo you have, but will give you visuals to be able to tell. For instance, you can tell you're in danger of being splatted if you're covered in too much of your enemy ink around your character and the screen. How you can check for how much ink you have will determine if you're swimming. You can check there's a bar when you're swimming, or if you're shooting, you will have to look at your backpack to see how much ink you have. On the top right corner is your special bar, which you get from spreading your own ink, or simply existing. Just being around, staying alive, you just build special meter. On the top of the screen is the most useful thing. It shows which team is in the lead, which team is in danger, who is alive at the moment, and the time that's left for the match. It's good to keep an eye on the top to update how well you and your team are doing. Now that we covered the objective and the basic mechanics, let's talk about the weapon of choice for Splatoon 2. Starting off with the splatter shot, it is the most well-rounded gun. It has a good rate of fire, ink spread, damage, and range. The roller, as the name implies, is simply a giant roller that will roll over your enemies. It is very easy to use, which is great for newcomers and beginners getting into Splatoon, so I definitely recommend this for any newcomer. You can either hold the shoot button and roll over people, or sploosh if you continue to shoot. Splooshing covers a decent amount of space and can splat enemies easily, but the rate of fire is slow. A new mechanic is also added to the roller that changes how rollers sploosh, so whenever you jump and sploosh, it goes in a straight line, but it goes much further than if you were just to sploosh normally. It is really strong and should not be underestimated. The charger is a good weapon if you enjoy sniping. It requires a charge to be able to shoot at maximum distance and power. A full charge is a one-shot kill if you can manage to get a hit. Whenever you take aim, there's a line that you can see that pretty much acts like a laser to guide your shot. This line is not only visible to you, but your enemies as well. So the best way to not get so much attention is either charge your shot behind a wall and quickly take aim, or aim downwards until it is fully charged and then go ahead and shoot. Not only that, there's also a new mechanic that allows you to store a charge for a small amount of time if you quickly want to reposition yourself. However, you want to be positioned well because chargers have the worst mobility. Their shots are in a straight long line and requires a charge, but if you ever need to shoot close range, the charger can shoot a weak uncharged shot quickly and takes about 3 shots to take someone down if they ever approach you. In my opinion, the charger is the most difficult weapon to master, but is really rewarding if used well. Based on my experience, I think a full team of pro chargers are more terrifying than a full team of pro rollers. The dualies are the new weapons for Splatoon 2, so I have no experience with these. However, based on observation, it looks like it simply has a more ink spread than the splatter shot and is best used for close range attacks. It also looks like it is the best for mobility, given that it has a rolling option while you shoot, but it uses your ink whenever you roll. Now that we know the weapons, let's talk about shooting. When spraying ink for turf, don't shoot downwards. You want to shoot either straight ahead or a bit of an upward angle. You can even maximize your range if you jump and shoot. With rollers, you can simply just roll to get turf or sploosh straight ahead. However, you want to manage your ink well because ink consumption is really high on rollers. Chargers can simply just shoot in big open areas. Another tip for chargers is if you ever want to go on a wall, you want to take aim at the top of the wall facing you, not over. The shot won't register you shooting a wall unless you hit the wall. Lastly, let's go into some basic strats. As I've said before, splatting enemies is important to win. Being able to push the enemy back to their base will really determine your victory. However, kills are good and fun, but it's not good to be too thirsty for kills. In other words, try not to get overly confident to push into the enemy spawn without looking at the map now and then. The reason why I say this is because you might be in their base and it seems like you've done a good job, but the enemy could have just snuck up from behind, the squid jump over, and when you turn around, the enemy makes a comeback from under your nose. In order to prevent this, my strategy for this is to hold the center of the stage. If you can hold the center of the stage along with your base, it ensures your victory. Not only that, the enemy spawn is usually designed to be difficult to climb over, so there's a lot of risks to overpush, and once they eliminate you, they can potentially make a comeback. Squid jumping is a mechanic in the game that allows you to jump to your teammates or to your spawn. In all honesty, I rarely use squid jumping to a teammate because I could simply swim over to them in a few seconds with less risk. Whenever you squid jump, it marks where you will land, and the enemy can simply wait for you to land and then just splat you. However, I would squid jump if your team is doing well and you have no risks of just squid jumping. It's also a good way to retreat if you ever feel cornered. So if you're, let's just say, overwhelmed and you're just hiding in your ink, at some point they're gonna get to you. You might as well just squid jump back to spawn. If your team continues to get splatted and the enemy has taken a majority of turf, it's time to regroup. It's best to wait a little longer to get your team back together in higher numbers than to run in one by one into defeat. Lastly, this is a dumb strat, but try not to get salty. Just try not to get salty. That's it. I know it's a lot easier said than done, and the game will make you feel competitive sometimes, but you'll have a lot more fun playing the game than getting upset over losing. Getting salty just puts you on tilt, you'll start to blame the team, and it doesn't help anyone. At the end of the day, it's just a game that's designed for everyone to have fun. Not everyone will have that same competitive mindset and only seek some enjoyment. So, have at it! That's all the basic stuff. Keep these tips in mind and have fun! Tell me what you think in the comments below, and I hope this video was helpful. I'll see you all at the Turf Wars. Stay fresh.